I first learned about alternate nostril breathing when I was at the Brain Injury Recovery Center from a car accident that I had. And I spent a lot of time there and worked with a lot of phenomenal neurologists and occupational therapists, speech therapists. I had a very severe stutter for a long period of time post-accident. And it was introduced to me actually by a therapist that did EMDR, which is a stress reduction technique. And she had just come back from a study where they were testing cortisol levels with a variety of different modalities. And one thing that really fascinated her and then kind of put me on this journey, there's always people that inspire you to go on amazing journeys, was the reduction in stress and even secretion of cortisol levels, because they were testing saliva at the time, very, very quickly. And so I kind of said, wait a minute, there's major medications out there. There's that have tons and tons of side effects that can alter adaptogenic hormones, or hormones that we use to adapt within our bodies. And they have tons and tons of ramifications, side effects, things that can have a negative impact. And even when we test the secretion of some of the adrenal hormones, do they really have as big of an impact as what this person was telling me the study was? So it kind of got me on my journey. So there's a couple things that I want to think about, or I want you guys to think about with alternative nostril breathing, and then we'll go and do a demonstration of how to do it, and I'll talk you kind of through it if you're not already doing it. The goal here is to increase oxygen saturation, which anytime we can increase oxygen saturation, it lowers stress hormones in the body. The other goal is to engage a healthy homeostasis or balance in what we call our autonomic nervous system. Some people you guys out there may be autonomic nervous system specialists. You may have never heard of that word. We have all ends of the spectrum in my world. And so I always try to distill things down a little bit. So the autonomic nervous system is kind of the push-pull in the body. So things that create elevated heart rate and also slow the heart rate. So we've got one side and the other side. They call them the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. If you want to Google it, there's some great graphs out there that show you, how it physiologically works in the body. I'm going to talk a lot today about our adaptogenic hormones, or how it works in the body related to how we adapt to stress and how we adapt to sugar and fat storage. So weight gain or weight loss is all wrapped around how we adapt to our metabolic environment, because we are supposed to store fat, but when we come out of homeostasis and we store more fat than we need to be 100% as far as energy and sleep and all of those things that we expect from our body, and we store fat, we have an imbalance that's happening, and we need to sorry, there's a light going. It's going. That's okay. That's okay. We're all in here together. So with alternate nostril breathing, we are looking at how we can help support how our body adapts, how our metabolism adapts to storage versus burn, and how the nervous system plays a role in that. So we talked a little bit in the past about brown fat and where we carry brown fat. When we're a baby, we have a lot of brown fat. As we get older, we have less brown fat, and we actually store it right from maybe the atlas axis, the base of the skull, nice down into the shoulders, and a little bit right behind the scapula, behind those shoulder blades. Brown fat is thermogenic fat. It helps us metabolize things efficiently. It also gives hormone signals for our body to feel full, to feel bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. There is correlation with our gut brain and brown fat as far as mood elevation. There's studies around L-dopamine, serotonin, dopamine, PAEA, different types of neurotransmitters in the brain. But one thing that brown fat has a strong receptor site is for our stress hormones, specifically our fight and flight hormones. We want to have fight and flight hormones because they help us, run from a tiger. They help us also know to jump out of the way of a speeding car. They help us to know to run if something's chasing us. But they're meant to be sacred hormones, and they're not meant to necessarily be secreted all the time. So brown fat has a really high affinity for that, and if we saturate that tissue with that, it doesn't have the ability to send as many thermogenic hormones, or hormones that tell us to actually burn fat. It's also really important to know that brown fat, as well as the lymphatic pump that we have in our brain, does not flush unless we reach those deep sleep moments, or those moments where the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system come into a really nice place of homeostasis. So one way, you have all the tools, you walk around with them all day. One way to help create a homeostasis in the nervous system, balance adaptogenic hormones, help your body decide that it can burn fat for fuel as opposed to storing energy in the form of fat for crisis or later if our body's in a constant state of stress, is this technique called alternate nostril breathing. So we're going to talk about just traditional alternate nostril breathing for a second, and I'm going to give you like a really quick demo. So you want to take your hand, and if you're right-handed, you typically use your right hand, and you want to take these two fingers, your pointer finger and the one that's right next to it, that hopefully isn't getting a lot of use anytime, and you want to drop those down right here to the meaty part of your hand. And these two fingers, and I have a really hard time with this, are the ones that you're going to use for alternate nostril breathing. I get a lot of questions about, do I actually have to do this, or why can't I just do this? There is some neurological benefit to doing something that's difficult from a coordination perspective. Like if I'm quiet, I can do this more efficiently, but if I talk and do this, it's harder. This again is something that I learned at the Brain Injury Recovery Center, because right away your body has to come into focus. And when you have focus and mind, you're using your mind as well as your body together. That's why, kinetic activities, bicycling, those types of things can be really good for brain injury. Right away, you're engaging different hormones in the brain that make you say, okay, go away, rest of the world. I need to focus on how to do this. And that right away can start to lower cortisol levels. So I really suggest to do this as opposed to doing this. When I was at the Brain Injury Recovery Center, we did a lot of coordination with brain. We would talk through situations, and we would do what we would call touch therapies, because they would help integrate left brain, right brain correlation. And then we would do these really tough ones where we would go the opposite direction on one hand. Let me see if I can do that. And you guys should try this. Whoops, see? You guys should try this sometime if you're ever feeling stressed, if you have to run to the restroom in the middle of a meeting, if you're having anxiety, if you feel like you're having a panic attack. You will notice that if you do these types of things, that they suddenly start to lower the heart rate, they lower cortisol output, so on and so forth. So with alternate nostril breathing, we're going to do this. These two things are going to come up, and we're going to start left and right. And there's some theories about which side you start on. For now, I'm going to say start on either side, and then we're going to talk a second about which nostril affects the parasympathetic nervous system and which nostril affects the sympathetic nervous system, and why that's important with your metabolism. So with alternate nostril breathing, you just start with one nostril, and you're going to breathe in. You're going to change to the other nostril, and you're going to breathe out. I like to say do about 20 breaths, and I also like to say to challenge yourself to breathe deeper and deeper and deeper with each of those 20 breaths. So you're going to stay on this right nostril, and you're going to breathe in. You're going to move to the left nostril, and you're going to breathe out. And then you're going to breathe in with the left nostril. You're going to breathe out with the right nostril. This is a really good time to either visually put something beautiful in front of you, don't watch TV while you're doing this. For heaven's sakes, don't watch the news while you're doing this. If you have a beautiful view, a beautiful ocean view, a beautiful mountain view, a bouquet of flowers, if not, I'd like you to close your eyes when you do it, and I'd like you to visualize. Some of our members have posted these incredible beach views, these incredible mountain views, and this is just a really good time to lower that cortisol level. Sometimes when I alternate nostril breathe, I get like tingling all over my body. I really worked hard on this in the Brain Injury Recovery Center, because one of the things that with stuttering is when you get a surge in cortisol, or you get anxiety, or you get tightening in the throat, or an elevated in heart rate, it constricts some of the brain chemistry, and so it can make your stuttering so much worse. So this was really important, and those of you that have watched me do different media things, I do a lot of alternative nostril breathing ahead of time to just get my brain really centered and grounded, because we're talking about science, and that definitely takes the brain. So again, we're gonna come here, we're gonna inhale, we're gonna move to the other nostril, and we're gonna exhale. Let's do 3 of them together, and I'll try to be a little bit quiet. Inhale, other nostril, and exhale. Try and go deeper this time. Ooh, other nostril, and exhale. Don't do like I just did. Do not inhale and exhale through the mouth. We want all of this to happen through the nose. Again, that engages part of the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, that focus, the concentration, the falling away of all of the other things that are going on in life, because this is something that you actually, some people become masters at this and they just, whip it out and do really good. Maybe they're not thinking through the process, but that focus is very meditative and very stress reduction. If you're trying to work on a particular area, I always say I'd like 20 of them to be left, right. I would love to see you do this in the morning and the evening. If you need it, maybe in the middle of the day. If you have the Fast Metabolism app, in the My Day section, there's a little plus mark at the top. The app's free, don't forget. You can add an activity. You can do it in meal planning too. You can add an activity, and you can put alternate nostril breathing in there, and you can have that in your checklist for My Day so that you can check off all the things that you accomplished to heal your metabolism. So after you've done maybe 20 alternate nostril breathings, sometimes I like to focus on one side if I'm working on a particular part of my sympathetic nervous system or parasympathetic nervous system. So just so you know, if you want to come and become a autonomic nervous system geek like I love myself, the sympathetic nervous system is really regulated by right side alternate nostril breathing, and left side is parasympathetic. So I made a couple notes, and I'll put this on here for you. Glycogen and glucose metabolism. So if you have blood sugar regulation issues, if you feel like you're insulin resistant, if you've gained weight in the midsection, doing some extra 10 right side alternate nostril breathing can be really helpful, because that helps with the parasympathetic nervous system. If you feel like you have slow digestion, if you eat and you feel like what people say they have a food baby, after each meal, if you can sneak away or do it with your whole family, do 10 right side alternate nostril breathing. It really helps secrete the digestive enzymes. It helps you break down your food more efficiently. Remember, our foods is nutrient dense. It helps increase the rate of delivery. So that can be really good. If you feel like you're having elevated secretions, like a lot of sweating, and the other one is not enough bile production. So people that don't have enough bile production can have heartburn. Again, left side or parasympathetic tones is really, really good for that. It's really good for kids that are prone to asthma, because it can help with bronchial constriction. So if your child is feeling or if you're feeling like you're having allergies or things like that, or you're dealing with bronchitis, really focusing on deep left nostril breathing can be really helpful. right side, think about sweating, adrenaline, stress, anxiety. Left side, think more stagnation, needing to get things moving. So I incorporated a lot of things like this with my kids. And kids are very, kids and animals are very, very great subjects to study, because a lot of times they don't have a lot of these belief systems that their bodies can't do things built up that we sometimes get over the years, especially with individuals that have dealt with previous diets, restrictive diets, people that have maybe felt like food has turned their back on them, they can't lose weight by eating. As we're coming together to look at how to heal the metabolism and how to make your body super efficient at regulating that adaptogenic hormone that says, I need to feel full, I need to store enough fat for reserved energy, but I don't need it for stockpiles of it because of stress. I need to lymphatically drain the brown fat. This is a really, really good technique. So I'd love to see all of you add this to your app. Let's do 3 breaths together if everybody's ready. Got to get my fingers in line. Here we go. We're going to start, I'm going to start left-sided because actually I feel a little slow digestively. I feel like I need to get my liver moving a little bit more active. I also feel like my heart rate, I want to make sure it's nice and slow and nice efficient today as I'm doing the 5 shake days. So I'm going to start left-sided. Feel free to start right-sided if you're feeling a little anxiety, if you're feeling like you're tired but wired, if you didn't sleep good last night. This is really good to do before bed. Remember, we lose all of our weight when we sleep. If you don't believe me, try it. Weigh yourself in the morning and weigh yourself throughout the day. You will increase in weight. But go to bed, sleep really, really deep, wake up in the morning and you will have lost weight. So let's do 3 breaths together, and then I want to hear how you guys like alternate nostril breathing, and on a scale from 1 to 10, how committed are you to doing this with me? All right, let's go. I'm going to start left side. I would call that 1 breath. I would call that 2 breaths, and in my mind, there is the most beautiful beach right in front of me. Okay, guys, I want everybody doing 20 of these, at least twice a day. Have an awesome day, and I love exploring all the things that your body can do to actually help heal your metabolism. Bye, guys.